I wanted to cover this story because it's been picking up serious traction online. Nick Bosa just posted on X for the first time in 4 years, right on the heels of Ryan Clark's firing, and the timing has people talking, since the two of them already have history together. Back in 2024, following the 49ers game against the Dallas Cowboys, Nick Bosa made a political statement, and here's exactly how things played out from there.
In the first half, what was said during halftime? Hey, all right, Nick Bosa with a message there.
Some discussion you had a hat on that was not the hat you're currently wearing in the postgame. Why did you take that opportunity to make what appeared to be a political statement?
I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's...
Not long after, Ryan Clark addressed the situation on social media with a video, and we're about to play that clip for you. His core argument was that this same crowd who typically tells athletes to shut up and dribble has no issue at all when players speak out on something they happen to agree with. Yet, when guys like LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick use their platform to weigh in on politics or issues beyond sports, those same critics are quick to demand they stay quiet and focus on the game instead. So, with that in mind, let's hear what Ryan Clark had to say.
When Nick Bosa shows up in a MAGA hat during Brock Purdy's interview, he knows exactly what he's doing. Never before has sort of partisanship had divided the country in the way that it has. Since 2016, that's been what it is. And when you say make America great again, what was so great about it before? What part of America are you trying to get to? Based on what we're hearing coming out of many of these campaign rallies, there's only one side that truly degrades and speaks negatively of the differences in other people, where they're from, the colors of their skin. There's only one side that does that. And I've worked really hard since 2016 to try to separate the people that support Republicans from the Make America Great Again people, because it was hard for me to believe that you weren't racist, right? And there's a long following of Nick Bosa's tweets where it's a lot of pushback against the culture, which is weird because in the locker room, it's such a melting pot of people where you accept one another's differences. I also think it's sort of ironic this happens in San Francisco, where Colin Kaepernick legitimately lost his career, not because he said America is a bad place, because he said, I want to make America a better place for people like us. Not because he said that he wants brown and black people to be superior to others, but just equal. He wanted their lives and our lives to matter as much as everyone else's life. The MAGA movement has been very clear that all lives don't matter the same, that all people aren't sort of deserving of the same treatment, of the same compassion, of the same level of life and liberty. And so I do think that the shut up and dribble thing that always is told to the LeBron Jameses when he speaks up against police brutality, to the Colin Kaepernicks when he speaks up against police brutality, to all of these athletes who were involved in movements in 2020, it only seems to go to the athletes that look like us, to the people that are speaking for the marginalized and the minorities as opposed to the majorities. Because when 45 called Colin Kaepernick and other people who kneeled sons of bitches, nobody told him to keep politics out of sports. So it seems very clear to me. Nick Bosa understands that when you wear that hat, you take a side. You take a side of division in a sport that's supposed to bring us together. I'm just waiting for all the people who comment under political and sports things to shut up and dribble or to shut up and play football to tell him to shut up and rush. But they ain't gonna say it because they feel the exact same way he do.
Don't hold your breath.
Bosa was wearing a Make America Great Again shirt
And I think Ryan Clark called out the double standard because nobody chastised Nick Bosa for wearing the Make America Great Again shirt, but people kept saying, keep politics out of sports. So I think Nick Bosa may be hanging on to that moment. Or he had the hat.
This is the tweet that Ryan Clark put out. He said, the shut up and dribble mob hasn't attacked Nick Bosa the same way they did Colin Kaepernick and King James when politics were brought into sports. Nick Bosa's MAGA allegiance is no secret, and no one really cares. Still, it's apparent that crashing an interview with a MAGA hat was received differently than black athletes standing up for equality. So his issue with this was essentially Nick Bosa came out and wasn't told to shut up and just play football whenever he came out with his political
We know
allegiance.
it's a double standard.
Yeah.
We know it's a double standard. And this is the thing. We all in here mix up you. I'm mixed, Care Bear mixed, Trey mixed, right?
Facts.
And so it's like, it's perceived. Once Donald Trump became president, if you were wearing the MAGA stuff, it was, oh, you somewhat racist. That's just the perception of it.
Yeah.
Whether you are or you aren't, that was the perception of it. And the NFL was majority African American players.
Of course.
You have to be cognizant of that.
Yep,
When you walk into a locker room wearing that, you basically saying, fuck you to my teammates. What you gonna do? Because that's how it is perceived. And so all Ryan Clark was brought attention to that because when Kaepernick did what he did, and Kaepernick wasn't LeBron James. Kaepernick lost his job. You're not doing that to LeBron if he had done what Kaepernick did. And Joey Bosa was a much better player than what Kaepernick was.
Yeah, Nick.
And so Kaepernick wasn't good enough as a player to stand in the face of what was coming in that storm and be standing.
Yeah.
He got blown over in that tornado because he just wasn't big enough to withstand that. But Nick Bosa, really? Like, that bothered you to where you were holding on to this for that long? Some of these dudes, I don't understand what they, because now you got a Fred Warner on your team.
Yeah.
That's the leader of that team. You have a Trent Williams on your team that you're not doing that with them. I don't know. I know Trent, but I don't know him like that. I got to know. I don't understand why guys do this when you have a ton of African American players on you. I would never go into a locker room if I felt it was going to offend anybody on my team, anything that I wore. I wouldn't wear it. I wouldn't wear it because I don't want to get into that. One, when you're a good player on the team, they look at you as being a leader. Just because you're good. I wouldn't want to do that to them.
Nick Bosa has finally broken his nearly 4-year silence on X, and a lot of people are reading his post as a sign that he's pleased about Ryan Clark's exit from ESPN. As TJ Hushmanzadeh pointed out recently, it looks like Bosa had been sitting on this reaction for a long time before finally speaking up. I'll say this, the phrase "shut up and dribble" is something I first heard from Laura Ingraham back when she was going after LeBron James. That's always struck me as odd because these guys get called student athletes constantly, with student literally coming before athlete. So what exactly are people expecting from student athletes? They're allowed to have interests, passions, and opinions that extend well beyond basketball. That kind of thinking can leave the impression that athletes are only valued for how fast they run or how high they jump, like entertainment is their only purpose. Whether you agree or disagree with someone's views, if they're capable of forming an opinion and explaining it, they've earned the right to say it. Telling someone to shut up and dribble doesn't invite honest conversation about different viewpoints. It just signals that you've already decided your opinion is the only one that counts, and theirs isn't worth hearing. Once you've written someone off as unqualified to have a voice, real dialogue becomes nearly impossible because you've dismissed them before the conversation even starts. Thinking about someone like Nick Bosa, he's never been quiet about his political views, and that's entirely his right. But the public reaction to it hasn't exactly been consistent. I remember Jerry Jones being very clear that his players wouldn't kneel during the anthem, yet I don't recall a wave of people telling Bosa to keep politics out of sports after he made his own statement. Bosa was fined $11,255 for wearing a Make America Great Again hat during a post-game interview following the 49ers win over the Cowboys, and he later said the fine was worth it.
Then, in 2025, President Trump appointed him to the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. So there's no ambiguity about where Bosa stands, and he's continued standing by it. As for Ryan Clark, I think he'll land just fine. He's still got the pivot, and he'll keep having a platform to speak on these issues. If anything, he might even have even more room to talk freely now that he's not bound by ESPN's restrictions. Nobody's actually silencing him here. If anything, he now gets to speak his mind entirely on his own terms. But I want to hear from you, not just on this specific situation, but on athletes like Nick Bosa in general. Sports have always brought together people with wildly different political views who could still unite around one shared goal, competing and winning together. Disagreements were never new. Teammates could hold opposite beliefs and still take the field or court together, work toward the same outcome, celebrate as a unit, and joke around like teammates always have. Lately, though, it feels like these issues have grown large enough to actually reshape what sports mean to a lot of people. Political debates and personal beliefs are bleeding into athletics more than ever, and conversations that used to stay off the field now regularly turn into national headlines.